So I want you to think about this for a second. How can one single company be a massive global leader in industrial chemicals? We're talking the building blocks of our entire modern world, and also make one of the most famous ammunition brands on the planet, Winchester. It seems like two totally different universes, right? Well, it's a really fascinating mix, and we're going to break it all down.
I mean, look at this. On one hand, you have the completely invisible world of Olin. These are the chemicals that are essential for pretty much everything: PVC pipes, treating our water, even soaps and paper. But on the other hand, you've got something you'd recognize anywhere: Winchester, the American legend. Every hunter, sports shooter, and military member knows that name. Two worlds, one company.
So, how in the world do they pull this off? That is the big question we're going to tackle today. We're going to break this down into three simple parts. First, we'll follow the money and see how the business is actually put together. Then, we'll pop the hood and do a quick financial health check, see how that cash engine is running. And finally, we'll get the view from the top, what management is saying about their biggest challenges and opportunities right now.
Okay, let's start with the business model. You know, the best way to think about Olin is like a three-legged stool. Each leg is a core part of the business, and they all have to work together to keep the whole thing perfectly balanced.
And this breakdown right here is so key to understanding who Olin really is. Their two chemical businesses, Chlor Alkali and Epoxy, they make up the lion's share of the company's sales. We're talking over 70%. That iconic Winchester brand, while super famous, is actually the smallest leg of the stool. It's really important to keep that scale in mind as we go.
Now, to get their main chemical business, you just need to know one little acronym: ECU. It stands for Electrochemical Unit. Sounds super technical, I know, but stick with me. The best way to think about it is like baking a cake. When Olin runs electricity through salt water, it spits out two key ingredients at the exact same time: chlorine and caustic soda. They are co-products. You literally can't make one without making the other. It's just like you can't have the frosting without the cake, right? It's a total package deal.
And here's where those two ingredients end up. The chlorine is a critical piece for things we use every day, like PVC pipes and purifying our drinking water. And the caustic soda? That goes into making aluminum, paper, and even soaps. So the entire game for Olin's chemical business is this delicate balancing act. They have to profitably sell both sides of that ECU recipe into these huge global markets. And now for the most famous leg of the stool, Winchester. A lot of us know it for hunting and target shooting, but a massive and really important part of its business is supplying small caliber ammo to the US military and our allies. This split between regular consumers and the government, well, it's not just a small detail, it's a huge part of Olin's financial strategy, as you're about to see.
All right, so now we know how they make money, but let's see how that turns into actual financial health, especially when it comes to generating cold, hard cash. This part is so important because Olin plays in a very, very cyclical industry. So what does cyclicality even mean? Honestly, the simplest way to think about it is like selling umbrellas. When it's raining, meaning the global economy is just booming with construction and manufacturing, business is absolutely fantastic. But when it's sunny out and the economy slows down, well, demand just dries up. Olin's chemical business lives and breathes in this world of economic seasons, and their whole financial strategy is built to handle it.
And this right here is why cash is king for them. Even in what management calls a trough environment, basically the bottom of the cycle, Olin still cranked out $212 million in cash from its operations in just one quarter. Being able to generate cash no matter the economic weather is a core part of their story.
So what do they do with all that cash? Well, you can see their whole playbook right here in a single quarter. They invested in growing the Winchester business, they paid down debt, which makes the company stronger, and they returned some cash to shareholders by buying back their own stock. This isn't just random spending. It's a very disciplined strategy for building value over the long haul.
And this brings us right back to that central puzzle of Olin. Here's the solution. Winchester, especially with its steady military contracts, acts like a financial shock absorber. While the chemical business is riding the wild waves of the global economy, Winchester provides this predictable, stable stream of cash that helps keep the whole company steady. It's basically the anchor in the middle of an economic storm. Okay, so what's management actually dealing with on a day-to-day basis? If we listen to what they're saying on their recent earnings calls, we get a super clear picture of the challenges they're up against, the headwinds, and the opportunities they're really excited about, the tailwinds.
This gives us a fantastic snapshot of the battlefield. The headwinds are no joke. The cost of copper, which is a key ingredient for ammunition, is spiking. The prices they can get for some of their vinyl chemicals are pretty weak, and they're dealing with $70 million in what they call stranded costs, which are basically fixed costs from a partner's plant that shut down. But on the flip side, they have some powerful tailwinds pushing them forward. Military sales are booming, a big internal cost-cutting program is working, and a new supply deal in Brazil should make them more efficient. Yeah, let's zoom in on that cost-cutting plan beyond 250. This is a huge focus for them internally. They've already locked in over $40 million in savings this year, but the real prize is next year's target, over $100 million. In a market where you can't control prices, this is how you fight back, by getting laser-focused on controlling your own costs. And, management is not sugarcoating the challenges. They literally use the phrase perfect storm to describe the commercial ammo market. This quote just shows you they're dealing with this really tough mix of high material costs, way too much inventory out there, and just softer demand from regular consumers. And this last quote from the CEO, Ken Lane, it really hammers the point home about all those outside pressures. When you ask him about things like tariffs or the global price of copper, he's super direct. These are huge factors that are just completely out of their control. The company just has to react and adapt as best they can. All right. We've seen how the company works, how it makes its money, and the big challenges it's facing. So now, let's put all of that together into a simple framework to help organize the facts. The optimistic argument, what we call the bull case, versus the pessimistic argument, the bear case. So the bull case, the optimistic view, is really built on a few key things. The company's proven ability to generate a ton of cash, how disciplined they are with that cash, the stability and growth they get from Winchester's military side, and the fact that their cost-cutting is actually working. Now, the bear case, the pessimistic view, worries about a long-term global industrial slowdown, continued pressure from high commodity costs, the risk of operational problems, and of course, all those external factors like tariffs that even the CEO says they can't control. So if you take away one thing, it should be this. Olin is fundamentally a story of balance. You've got this powerful but very cyclical chemical giant paired with a stable and iconic defense and consumer brand. And their whole strategy right now is to navigate this really challenging market by focusing like a laser on controlling their costs and generating as much cash as they possibly can. If you found this breakdown helpful, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to Stocks Simplified for more visual deep dives and company updates just like this one. And finally, just a quick and very important reminder, this explainer is for educational and informational purposes only. It should absolutely not be considered financial advice. All the information we've talked about comes directly from the company's own public filings. Please always do your own research before making any investment decisions. Thanks for joining us.